Welcome to another session of Do Your Homework. Real hot, touchy topic today. Before I go into the topic, it's just some information, not intentionally trying to insult anyone, but sometimes people get irritated, aggravated, upset, angry over truth. So I'm bringing you this point of view for a discussion. And the topic is, where do so-called white people come from? In my lifetime, I have heard several different theories. Leviticus 13:13 speaks about a form of leprosy. And I'm going to paraphrase it, but it says, once the priest examine the individual, check them out, and they have turned white from head to toe, they are to be pronounced to be clean. So there was a transformation that took place, and if they turned white, that means that they must have been of another hue or another color in a sense. So we describe this as melanin excessive and melanin recessive. So that's one theory, that so-called white people are actually albinos of the so-called black man, to put it quite frankly and straight to the point. So we know that within the black community, so-called black community, there are albinos. And that's the recessive melanin brothers and sisters. Now you may say, well, we got those people, but how did the European or the Caucasian race or nation come about? You're going to have to do your homework and research that. But I'm going to give you some information that can lead you to a place of reference where you can do this research. We got the word Caucasian that is derived from Caucasus. The Caucasus Mountains is located over there near Russia. And this is where it is said the Caucasian people came from. So if those people that were albinos migrated up into that area and they've been there for so many years, maybe their features begin to make changes to deal with that environment. That's just a theory or point of view aspect. But I want to tell you what really amazed me. About 15 years or so ago, I was in Clarksburg facility. That's a detention center. And I had a cellie. He was from Chicago, Illinois. And he was a European, Caucasian man, so-called white man. And me and him got along pretty good. We didn't really talk to each other too much, only in spots. Because what he did, he read all day. And I was reading. And so one day the conversation came up about, first of all, I read him a poem. And we got into a conversation about, the origin of Caucasian people. And you know what he told me? He told me that Caucasian, so-called white people, were mutants, or they had mutated from black people. That's what he told me. I was amazed and surprised because I had already come to some conclusion that was what had happened. But to hear this guy say that, and he was actually some type of scientist type of individual. He was kind of like out there. I'm not going to discuss his charges, but he did have a lot of education behind him, and he told me that. So moving on, we have another theory, evolution. Darwin's theory that man evolved from the primate and maybe even came from out of the water, because there are different illustrations about this evolving process. Tadpole, fish came up on the land and evolved into the monkey, came into primitive man, Neanderthal, and then came into the modern man. That's the Darwin's theory. I bring that up because when I was studying, I had heard one of the people that I was listening to, they said that they knew that there was a great white gorilla with blue eyes. And this individual said that that is where the so-called Caucasian man evolved from this theory of evolution. But he said that the so-called black man didn't come from that. The so-called black man was a part of the creation of the creator as the original inhabitant. That is a whole nother story, because once you get to researching and look into the YoUr's 26,000 year cycles, estimated that there is a rise and fall of society, different type of ages. That goes into a whole nother aspect. When you examine that, you can say, dang, was the black man, so-called black man, the first man, or who was there? But then there's another theory to go into, and that is the theory of Elijah Muhammad, the leader of the Nation of Islam, and his upstart. And he said that there was a story he told his followers about a scientist named YoUr. And what he said, that YoUr was dissatisfied. I'm paraphrasing the story to get to the point. And he was angry or dissatisfied, disenchanted with the other people. And he told them that he was going to make a people that ruled them. And what he did was, as a scientist, he found out there was two genes in the so-called black man, a black gene and a brown gene. So what he did is he took the black gene and he separated it, then he got the brown gene. Then he got the brown gene and he spliced it, or whatever scientific method that he used. He got the red gene, from the red gene to the yellow gene, and then down to the white gene. And he said this was the creation of the so-called white man by a scientist named YoUr. But one interesting thing that he said, that this extraction of that white gene was actually bringing out a part of the original man, so he can see what was inside of him manifested on this plane physical. That's another theory. Now there's another theory that doesn't connect with these first three at all. And this theory is saying that we are interstellar beings, that we are actually star beings coming from the various constellations of Orion, the Pleiades, and other constellations. Now, I thought about that, and what my thought is on that, if we came from those places, I wouldn't think that we were, physically coming from those places, because we're dealing with energy, we're dealing with consciousness. And I'm saying that to say that we physically came from there in this same dimension, I don't know. But that is another theory. What I think in that aspect, that if that's to be true, now they saying that, we got the Greys and the reptilians and different types of beings that came from these various places as well. Me, myself, I think all those things are actually dealing with energy and consciousness, or the lack thereof of consciousness. So we got these various possibilities of where the so-called white man came from. Now, on another note, one thing that I have included many years ago is that these bodies are like spacesuits, so we can operate here on the physical plane that we describe as Earth, where the frequency has slowed down and we became manifested physical. I also think that we have a macro and a micro self, but our macro self is in another dimension in the energy field. This is only a theory, just a point of view. So it's kind of like we avatars here. But to say that is that even though we may be avatars here, energy is working through us. This is not who we truly are. This is just a vehicle. Think of an assembly line that's pushing off 2020 Cadillacs. Let's say Infinities. That's a car I like. So they're pushing off these Infinities. And it's the same model. Maybe the colors of the seats or the interiors are different. The engine and everything is the same. And that's what I think about so-called human beings having, human beings or spiritual beings having this human experience. So we come from the one, of the oneness, of the all, or the creator that created everything. One of the teachers say, all is in the all, and all is the all. Wrap your mind around that. So if that's true, there's no difference from us, the Caucasian people, or any other people on the planet in a sense, but maybe we're just wired differently. Maybe we're different models, so we operate differently with our thought process, and surely we think differently. But this is a part of the great experiment. We're here to find our way back to the source, to the oneness, to the highest state of consciousness. Some identified as the God consciousness or the Christ consciousness, and some, the consciousness of whatever deity of the particular ideology that a person may be practicing, the enlightened one, the Horus consciousness, so forth and so on. That's what our preference and choice is to think or make alliances with. But to come back to the point, one thing for sure that I have made a analysis that we are in this thing together. And to get up out of this thing, we got to do it together. Everybody has a different part to play. Maybe that, the Caucasian people are operating in a certain type of way. And the way that they're operating on a mass scale that's popular out in society, dealing with the racial tension, the supremacy complex, that is a low level of operation. And we got to be careful that we do not get infected by that low level of operation. The teachers teach, if you can't bring a person up or a spirit being up, don't go down where they're at. Because your demonstration, of your kindness and compassion and love and exercising of truth and the elevated consciousness of mental elevation, if they catch on to that, you can help resurrect the dead or those that are laying down in the pits, in the mire of the pig pen of consciousness. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, this is just a point of view. I'm about to bring this session of Do Your Homework to an end. Hope you enjoyed the information. If you have any comments, please make them so we can discuss it. And if you got information that can elevate my consciousness in this particular topic, please share it with me. Okay? Remember this. Live your life on purpose, with purpose, because it's all purpose. Praise him that raised them.